Alrighty, artists. So one of the things that we are going to go through really quickly is just how to transfer your image for your Jen Stark inspired artwork. One of the things that we need to do is make sure that in our art room folder we have both sheets of paper that we are going to be transferring the image on, because you can imagine we will need to do that drawing on the first sheet and also the second sheet. And one of the things is it's important to have balance between those two. So we want that shape to look exactly the same on both sides. So when you are working on your practice drawing in your folder, most of you will just be working through a very basic sketch of that object. So for example, if we look at this sheet here, what all of you should have done is drawn a really nice outline of that object. So for example, if I'm doing a paintbrush here, I am starting with just the outline, or what we would call the contour lines of that object. So I have my paintbrush drawn. I could go in and add some of the details if I wanted. It's not absolutely necessary, but it could be fun to add some of those details, because when I go to add patterns later, I could add patterns inside these little areas too. One fun thing that I did on my example here is I kind of created the drip pattern coming down the paintbrush as well, so that's also something that maybe I could include on here. So maybe I could even draw the brush, like I said, dripping. Some of that paint would be kind of cool. Then I'm ready to go. So you should have your practice sheet, and then you should have your two final papers here in which you are going to actually trace the paintbrush on. So when you're on the light table, and you can do this up against a window at home if you don't have a light table at home. I totally understand if you guys don't. We do have one here in the art room that we'll be using. So you are going to put your blank sheet over your practice and hold that on the light table, center it on your page. Otherwise, if you're at home, you'll be holding this up to a window where the light is shining through so that you can trace it onto your final. So once I have that centered, I can go in and trace my design really carefully. And really what I'm doing is just tracing this design onto both sheets. So once I have that traced, I can remove my practice drawing, and now I can use my final and then take my other sheet and trace it onto the second sheet as well. Make sure those are lined up really nice and even, and trace it a second time so that we have two of them. Now, once we are ready to get started with the drips, we have to remember that on one of the sides we are doing the background and drips, and the other side we're doing the inside of the shape with drips and patterns. So, for example, I might start off with the one where the background is in drips. And sometimes students struggle a little bit at first with how to draw the drips, and I think the one thing we have to remember is drips aren't completely uniform and they don't all look the same. So what I have students do is just start off with, up at the top corner here, drawing the drip shape, starting out small, and then kind of going and making the drips bigger as you go down into space here. And remember that some drips will be shorter, some will be longer, and then they can come back up to the top. And this is one section of drips. So for example, I might do rainbow drips in here, and then the next section I might do black and white. So at this point, what I can do is now start maybe a little bit lower and start a new section of drips. Maybe I want this one to be a little bit smaller. I can end that up at the top. Now, If I wanted to do a section coming down here, I can start on the side, and again, it's almost like the letter S shape. You're making that over and over. Remembering that some are smaller, some are longer, some are shorter. There's no specific way to do this, right? It's looking pretty good. And you'll just continue working your way down the page. And when you get to the actual object, like let's say my drip is coming down here, I'm just going to stop and then kind of pick off where it would leave off. Like that. That's looking pretty good. And I will continue that all the way down the bottom of this page. So that is going to be your first page. On your second page, when you get to that step, you are going to do the inside of the shape with the drips only. So you're not doing as much work on this one, I would say, because it's a smaller shape that you're filling with the drips. Like that. And it's looking pretty good. Now I have one side where the background's filled, one side where the inside is filled with drips. Now at this point, if students are ready to add color, you are going to choose the specific color scheme you'd like to do. So if I am doing a paintbrush, that really gives me a lot of options. I might do some red, some green, some black. I can do multiple colors for this, really the entire rainbow if I wanted to, but I'll just show you how I would work my way through this here. I always recommend to students start off with tracing everything in black Sharpie first before you go in and start doing sections of drips. So I'm just going in and outlining all of this first. Even my object I'll outline too. That'll make it a little bit easier to see where each section starts and ends for my drips. Then at this point, you can, once you have the whole thing outlined in Sharpie, I'm condensing this information a little bit for you guys, so you can go in and start actually adding the colors into the drip. So what I would do is start off at the bottom of the drip and work your way up to the top. So if I'm doing this one in lime green, I'm just going to follow the original line I made and begin my next color above that. And now what I would recommend is, even before doing this step, I might go in and take an eraser and just touch up where I can still see the pencil marks, so it's really nice and clean. You can do that before you even start adding color. And like I said, you can just continue on to the next color, starting at the bottom and moving your way up the design. Sometimes it gets a little bit too narrow on the inside of the drips, and then you have to go back in and kind of outline what those drips look like before adding the new color. So I might go in and do that with the black. I'm actually liking this highlighter yellow and green look. I might not even add red to this now that I'm getting going here. And if you want white drips in there, you just leave it the white of the paper. You're not going to use, marker, you're just going to leave it blank in that section. So I'm going to transform this into a big drip now, since those are getting really close together. It's looking pretty good. And you'll work your way through your entire drawing doing that same process. So again, the entire background is going to be filled with those drips. Just a quick synopsis of what you're doing here, and then when you're ready, you can then move on to your other sheet, do the same exact thing, outline the entire object with black first, and then go in and start adding the color to the drips. Have fun.